It is that time of year to just take things down to a slower pace, get back to basic, simple pleasures like board games and cold, snowy sunrises, and appreciate the hand-cooked meals that grace the table 3 times a day. Winter is a gentler time of the year when the days are quieter, the coffee is hotter, and we sleep for a little bit longer. All good things that need to be enjoyed before the hustle and bustle of spring and summertime return once again. So today, I'm just going to take you along as I make several cozy winter recipes and take care of our home for the wintertime. I'm going to start with breakfast because this was a morning that I got up early to prepare breakfast like I normally try to do. I'm making sourdough Einkorn English muffins. This is a family favorite that we can't stop making. I make it once or twice a week at least. It is a 3/4 cup active sourdough starter, or you could use discard because these are just English muffins, so they don't need that much of a rise like a loaf of bread would. 2 tablespoons honey, 3/4 cup filtered warm water, 1.5 teaspoons salt, 3 cups einkorn flour, and then the next day you'll add about a teaspoon of baking soda. So I prepared this the night before, rolled it out and cut it into 6 pieces with my bread cutter, rolled them into little balls, pinched them at the bottom, and I placed them in a preheated large Dutch oven with coconut oil on the bottom. Put the lid on there and they cook in probably under 10 minutes or so. I don't really time them, I just wait till they're brown and then I flip them. Now this morning I'm also making a loaf of sourdough bread. I try to do multiple sourdough recipes at once because while I'm getting the starter out and all the bowls out, I might as well knock out as much as I can. I love to put fresh butter with some local raw honey on top of these. It's so good. And then I fry up some eggs and get the yolk all over them, and it's my favorite breakfast. Also in the wintertime, there's nothing like a cup of hot coffee. I'm going to use some raw milk cream that I took off a gallon of raw milk that we got in my coffee today, and this is just one of those simple pleasures that although I drink coffee year round, it's something special about that really hot sip of coffee that you get first thing in the morning. I actually don't drink my coffee right away like most people. I know my husband loves it right when he wakes up, but I like to have my food first, but it's still just as special that first sip of coffee after I've had my breakfast. I love it. And now it's time to bake my bread. I'm so cold I'm actually wearing a beanie inside the house. It was in the teens, which is very unusual for here. I know it's not cold compared to like Canada or some other places, but it was definitely in the low teens, which was very, very cold. So we got a little bit of snow, and the next recipe I'm gonna make was perfect for that cold day. Okay, today I am bundled up because it just started snowing outside and I had to go feed the chickens. So I'm gonna actually make a big pot of soup chili today. So I love making chili when it snows. Something about the snow makes me just want chili. It's so comforting and warm and cozy. So that's what I'm gonna put on the stove right now before the kids wake up, because we tend to do activities in the morning with our toddler, because if you have kids, you know they really need to get worn out. They're kind of like a dog. They have to get walked in order for them to nap later in the day and just, be happy and healthy. So we like to go out of the house in the morning and do that. So it's snowing outside, so we're gonna try to, I don't know if it's enough to make, a hill. So I don't know if it's enough to be sledding material, but we're gonna try to go outside and go walking. So I need to have lunch ready when we get back, which can be challenging because we're gonna get back hungry and we're gonna need food immediately. So I'm not gonna have time to cook. So in order to do that, I've gotta prep it in the morning, and I also have to do it before, more or less before she wakes up, because once she's up, we're pretty much playing constantly, not even playing, but just at least talking, or I'm helping her with the puzzle, or we're doing breakfast. So it's very hard for me to cook lunch once she is awake. So I'm trying to do a little meal prep before she even wakes up. So luckily chili is very easy. I have this ancestral blend of ground beef, which is from Force of Nature, and it's got the beef liver and beef heart in it, which I love this company, and they do bison as well. I love buying their meats. So I'm gonna saute that beef, and then I'm gonna add to that my homemade bone broth, so it's gonna be very nutritious. We've got a can of beans, a can of tomatoes. Actually, my husband had to go get these from the store this morning because I'm really low on canned foods for some reason. Onion, garlic, all the spices, chili powder, cumin, some tomato paste, a little bit of pepper, tomato sauce. This will come together really nicely, especially after a cold morning in the snow. And another thing I have on the to-do list today is make homemade lotion. I'm out of my face and body lotion. I just ordered some shea butter from Amazon, and I'm going to turn this into an all-purpose lotion that I love to use on my face and body, and I've been using it for a few years now. We are going to take a trip next week, and I'm looking at my lotion stash, and it's almost out, and I don't have any lotion to bring with me on the trip, so I've got to make this as soon as possible so that I'm prepared for that. So to do that, I'm going to make a double broiler on the stove, homemade, with 2 pots over the top so that I can easily melt this without it directly touching the heat. I'm gonna add jojoba oil and then some coconut oil and my essential oils to this. I have the full recipe for the homemade lotion on the blog, theduvallhomestead.com. Just type in lotion in the search bar if you want a quick and easy and sustainable way to always have lotion on your countertop. I do use it on my face and body, and it works beautifully. I just love it. We got home from being outside and we were so hungry that we just dove into this chili super fast, and I forgot to get a video of it, you know, pretty in a bowl with all the toppings on it for this YouTube video, which I had planned on doing, but that's okay. You can see me here dishing it out. The leftovers are going in this container. And to finish the meal, because we got a little bit of snow today, I had to make hot cocoa. There's something about a snowy day that makes me want to make chili and hot cocoa ASAP. So a little bit of hot cocoa here with marshmallows to finish our afternoon, which made for a very nice winter day. Now that my baby is napping, both my babies are napping, I'm going to continue on with the homemaking. So next on the agenda is homemade bone broth, and then I'm going to show you something exciting, which I'll get to in a second. But the homemade bone broth is very easy. I've done this a lot on this channel, so you may have seen it before, but you can get so many vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, nutrients from homemade bone broth, and it is completely free to you, assuming you are buying whole chickens, which I'm a big fan of whole chickens, so I do that a lot. I make homemade bone broth at least once a week. We use it to make rice a lot. We also use it in every single soup. I use it in the bottom of my roast chicken, roast beef, roast pork. So roasts, soups, and rice are enough to consume over a gallon of bone broth, I'd say, a week for us, which is awesome. So now that I used a bunch for my chili, I'm ready to go ahead and make some more. So here I have a frozen chicken that I made a couple nights ago that I wasn't ready to make bone broth yet, so I put it in the freezer. I try to only use my Instant Pot and clean it once at a time, so I made the rice in it with lunch today. So now instead of really doing a deep clean on the Instant Pot, I'm just gonna leave it as is, just get the rice out, and then put the bone broth in there. So then I will only be cleaning it one time tomorrow, as opposed to cleaning it right now and then again tomorrow. I'm also gonna add some chicken wings. We just had some chicken wings from watching a big football game we had in our area. My husband loves to do wings with football. It's just his favorite thing ever. And then I have some leftover vegetable scraps from when I made a roasted chicken. So I have a bunch of onion and garlic skins, leftover carrot heads, and I also made cauliflower that night. So I've got some cauliflower skins. So I'm gonna let this saute for the next day, and then I will have bone broth tomorrow. The next thing I'm going to do is make my first Einkorn sourdough bread loaf with my new Einkorn sourdough starter. Now, I've made sourdough starter for several years now, and I've always mixed in Einkorn flour in it as well as other flours. So my starter has been just a combination of so many flours. So I've never had a 100% fully Einkorn sourdough starter. So I am creating that because I've had a few people reach out to me and ask for it because they can only tolerate Einkorn and they don't want to mix any other flours in there. And I thought that should be easy, and it was very easy. So I went ahead and made this Einkorn sourdough starter, and this morning
I put a rubber band around where it started, right here, and it has doubled in size. So that's how I know it's ready to make bread. So I'm gonna go ahead and make a fully Einkorn sourdough loaf, and you're seeing the first one. So hopefully it turns out. This is what I do for my blog when I create new recipes, is I throw together a recipe, try it out. If it works out, I put it on the blog. If not, I try again. So let's do it. I'm going to be following the recipe I already have on my blog for an Einkorn sourdough cinnamon raisin bread, only I'm not gonna use cinnamon and raisins. So it's gonna be just a pure Einkorn, 100% Einkorn sourdough loaf. The snow is falling outside. It's getting very dark, and it's only 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and it is a lovely time to make this sourdough bread. You can look up the recipe on the blog, duvallhomestead.com, for the Einkorn sourdough cinnamon raisin bread. It's very similar to this one. I really liked how it turned out. It was very delicious, great for an Einkorn loaf. I'm gonna keep experimenting with it and post it on the blog soon. But here are a few sneak peek shots of me trying out this bread loaf recipe. I feel like when you start making bread, you really get the hang of how it's supposed to feel and the texture and like how moist it should be, how dry it should be, and all those kind of things you just don't really understand when you first start making it. You think it's as easy as following a recipe, and it's really not. So I felt pretty comfortable experimenting with this because I knew what it was supposed to feel like. However, I did rush it a little bit because I was trying to photograph it, and that's kind of the one thing you don't want to do with sourdough bread, is rush it. So I'm going to be experimenting a little bit more on the ferment times when it comes to this one. But anyway, I'm still really happy with how it turned out. Now I'm going to be whipping up a lunch with my whatever food I have in the fridge, which is definitely a theme for me because that's just kind of how it goes. Anyway, this is going to be a chicken bacon risotto, but I don't have risotto, so I'm going to use rice. I did onion, garlic, chicken thighs. I used bone broth to cook the rice, and then I used some mushrooms. Put it all in the cast iron skillet and served it up. It was super warming and very hearty. I love dishes that you can just put in the cast iron skillet for minimal cleaning afterward. I felt like even though it was freezing out, I still wanted to go outside. I'm not really the kind of person who likes to sit indoors. I love being outside, even in the cold. So I just wrapped us all up and we went out and just did some chores. Gave the chickens a few extra treats because of the cold. So today I'm going to be making a quick meal in a pinch for lunch. My husband took my toddler to an art class and they're on their way home, and I can tell from the speakerphone conversation I had with them that she's very hungry. So I'm probably going to take out some turkey slices and an apple for her so she can eat immediately. For my husband and I'm going to be making us a chicken noodle soup. I'm going to throw this together really quickly with what I have in my freezer. If you're cooking meals in a pinch, the best thing to do is have pre-made food already on hand, and the best way to have that is to keep it in the freezer. So meats such as a chicken roast, a pork roast, a beef roast, whenever you make a large amount of meat, any amount you have left over, even if it seems small, put it in a little bag or container and put it in your freezer. It's already cooked and it's ready to be eaten. All you have to do is thaw it out. And I can do this on the stove quickly. It's very easy. So I have so much chicken in the freezer, so I'm gonna just pull from that to add to the soup. I also have frozen carrots, frozen celery, that's already been chopped. So this is the best way to meal prep if you are trying to make quick meals, which this just happens sometimes when you think you're gonna have more time in the day, or you tried to make your meal earlier and it just didn't happen. So whenever you have more pockets of time to do some chopping, use that time to just put a little bit in the freezer, little bits at a time. I happen to have a lot in my freezer right now, so I'm lucked out because there's no meat in my fridge that's thawed out. That's possible for lunch today. I can't make a whole roast right now or something like that. So I'm gonna be digging in my freezer. I'm gonna make a really yummy chicken noodle soup. One of the best tips I've heard from some cooks I follow on YouTube is to tune into your hunter-gatherer instincts when you are trying to think about what to prepare for a meal. Don't think about what recipe am I gonna follow. Think about what ingredients can I go find, and then how can I combine them to make my meal. Just like we used to do back in the day when we would hunt and gather. So in this case, I'm gathering in my freezer, seeing what's in there, and I'm gonna come up with a really nice soup recipe. The chicken noodle soup recipe is 4 cups cooked chicken, already chopped, which is what I just had in my freezer, but you could also use, a couple chicken breasts or whatever you want to do. 1 sliced onion, 6 cloves of garlic, 4 medium-sized carrots, 3 celery sticks, 1 bay leaf, 2 teaspoons salt, 1 teaspoon pepper, 2 quarts bone broth, noodles of choice, and at the end I also like to add a 1/4 cup of Einkorn or regular flour to just thicken the soup a little bit, make it a little more creamy, a little less watery, and I also add about a 1/4 cup of cream. That's optional, but I really enjoy those last 2 ingredients. In January, I always like to do a little extra cleaning, a little extra organizing. It just kind of needs it around my house because after Christmas, everything is just kind of messy because it's just such a hurricane of baking and cooking and family and decorating, and I love it, but it does require a little extra cleanup in January, which I actually enjoy because there's not really a whole lot else going on. So it's kind of nice to think about your house and, hey, what do we want to do in the year to come? How can we rearrange things? So one area I want to tackle is the spice cabinet. It just really needs to be redone. Everything's empty. I can't even read the labels anymore. So I started to tackle this project, and then my baby woke up from his nap. And he wasn't really a fan of me working on this. He just wanted to talk and giggle. And that is exactly what I want to do is with him as well. So I paused on this project for the time being. I got about halfway done, and I will finish it another time. Okay, next on the agenda is organizing our family's calendar on the refrigerator. This is something I've been wanting to do for a while. I usually keep our calendar on my phone, but the problem with that is no one else can see it. And I think it'll be nice to see the whole month's view right here because we're starting to get busier now that we just have a growing family and more commitments going on. So this is yet another day, me going out taking care of the chickens in the cold weather, only I had my baby with me for this one. I usually try to do this without him just because I can't reach some stuff when I'm holding him. So that's what I'm doing here. Alright, well thank you so much for joining me for the week that I just took you along and did some winter homesteading, a lot of winter cooking, some taking care of the home. I hope it gave you some inspiration and it just made you feel cozy for the winter season ahead. If you're brand new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. Every week I post a new video on farm-to-table recipes and homemade natural living. Thank you so much for stopping by the Duvall Homestead.